Welcome to the Rocket Roof Show, where we equip fellow roofers to do more commercial business every first and third Thursday of the month. It's time to launch your business to the next level.
This is Project Command. Stand by at power transfer.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Roof Show here with Andy Neer. And today I have on a special guest that when I first started putting together people for this show, there was a few that I really knew that I wanted to get started off so that I could start the show off on the right note. And one of them here was Randy Brothers from Denver, Colorado. So before I get rolling into his bio here, I just wanted to say that this show is brought to you by the handbook that I put out. We put a handbook out for employee handbook for commercial roofers and residential roofers alike, just to kind of give company owners that a little bit of structure that they need in their business. Many guys don't even know the importance of a handbook. And so you can easily find that on eBay. I sell it on eBay for $49. And you can also get an electronic version or a hard copy. So if you want to check that out, I've had a lot of guys tell me that it's a great use. They just take the handbook and they edit out my company name and put their name in it, and it's a lot of help. Just make sure that you ask your attorney and check with your state laws to make sure that everything in there complies with you in your particular area. So without further ado, got Randy Brothers here. Welcome.
What is up, man? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
To it. Congrats. Congrats on the new podcast. You guys are recently launched, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And the handbook and all the cool things that you're doing, man. I love it.
Thank you. The reason I really did the podcast, because there's a lot of times that I'm listening to other people's podcasts and I have all these questions inside, and I'm like, hey, what about this and what about that? And so I really just wanted to do it as in a way like I'm the active listener. I'm like part of the audience, and I'm asking on behalf of the people that are listening kind of the dumb questions that maybe that other people are afraid to ask. I'm not afraid to look a little dumb and say, why do you do it like that? So just to give a little recap, Randy's 37 years old, so he's really done a lot at such a young age. Owner of Elite Roofing in Denver. He's also the host of the Start Build Grow show. So I want to put a little plug in there. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's a ton of great content on there. I think you're on like episode 83, 84, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe even, I think 85 is what we just did. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's crazy. It's been fun.
Yep. And you're founder of the Roofing Academy, which is constantly putting content out there for other guys to learn and to, processes and different ways to build their roofing business. Yep. And then he also is the author of the book, Start It, Build It, Grow It, which he actually sent me a free copy of last year. And that's very, very valuable too. It's tons of information in there on how to actually start your roofing business right from the very inception, at the very beginning. So love it. Anything you want to say about that right there?
Thanks for the plug. I mean, you can check out our podcast on all platforms, on iTunes, Spotify, all of them, you name it, YouTube, the whole 9 yards, and you can find the book on Amazon.com.
And we'll do our best to put all those links and plugs right in the bottom of this post when we put it out on social media, so that people can check it out. I think you'll find it very valuable. So the first question I wanted to ask you is, there probably was a day and age when you were just an employee, or maybe you were a new owner, and you didn't really think about the word scale or building it big. It was just kind of like working, right? So what turned it on that this thing could be bigger? Or why would you even want to be bigger? Some people think it's just a big headache, but there must have been something that turned it on to you that said, I can build this bigger.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I love the question because, kind of my reasoning is probably maybe a little bit different than you would expect. I started my business because I realized an opportunity in the industry. I realized that there was, unfortunately and fortunately, but there's to get into the roofing, there's a fairly low barrier to entry, right? Anybody with a truck and a ladder and a tool belt can be a roofer.
Yep.
And unfortunately, so many people dive into the industry and they don't really know business. They don't know how to lead. They don't know how to manage. They know roofing, and they think they can figure it out. And some of them do. Some of them figure it out and build great businesses, such as yourself, and then and hopefully me someday.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw an opportunity to really apply fundamental business practices as well as fundamental character, integrity, and a lot of the things that unfortunately, some of the challenges in our industry. And in doing so, we were able to achieve some success and build a cool, startup business, if you will. But I really realized that my roofing business was more than just an opportunity for me to make money or to build a business. It was an opportunity to create opportunities
Mm-hmm.
for other people, which has ultimately became our overall company mission. Our company why is to challenge the status quo of our industry while creating great opportunities for great people. So in embracing that mindset, I decided that, hey, I have to grow my business.
Mm-hmm.
We have to push the envelope and grow our business, because in doing so, we're going to create some really great opportunities to provide a great employment, a great life, a great income, and a great culture for as many people as possible. So it wasn't a monetary thing. It wasn't hey, we want to be the biggest company in this particular area or be the biggest company possible for any sort of monetary reason. It was because we wanted to continue to provide opportunities for people and to create jobs in a space that has a bad habit of or a bad history of bringing people in and not giving them the right resources to succeed. So the industry kind of, unfortunately, a lot of people get turned off by this industry because they just don't get the right experience. So we wanted to change that, and that's really kind of the underlying reason why we push to grow our business and have been successful doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Now you did spend some time when you were younger wearing a tool belt and actually doing the roofs yourself, right?
Yeah. So guilty as charged. I didn't come up as a roofer. My trade, I guess as you could say, my trade was in framing and carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up on the other end of a lathe, of a table saw as a little kid. My dad was a carpenter and built custom furniture and did trim work, and we did framing, and I've done some drywall paint and flooring, all the different things. So I actually kind of came up as a general contractor, and my big goal in life, I always loved construction. I always loved business. I knew that I was drawn to this industry. I just knew that, I wanted to be a builder one way or another, but the idea was to be a custom home builder. When that completely failed and the industry or the market tanked and the Great Recession happened, I was kind of left having to figure out what to do to survive. So in my attempt to survive, I went into other areas and tried other things, and ultimately, in a roundabout way, led me into the roofing space and roofing business. So having the experience of literally building houses from the ground up gave me a huge advantage in converting that to roofing. And knowing my limitations, I focused my energy on finding really good, solid, experienced people to run the building and the roofing side of the business.
Oh, awesome. And you probably agree with me, like the roofing is pretty recession proof or recession resilient. Like when the times are tough, people put off that kitchen remodel or the new deck and siding, but the roof can't wait.
No, you got a bad roof, you got to replace it. And, it depends on if you're in a retail market, that roof's leaking, it becomes your top priority.
Yep.
If you're in a real estate, if you're buying a new home and has a bad roof, you got to get a new roof replaced before you get new floors, right?
Yep.
And then on the insurance side of things, where I was, affected pretty negatively when the recession happened and the bank stopped lending, people, I had built a business around people, our clients and homeowners taking out HELOCs and using that money to reinvest back in their house to finish their basement or to do that kitchen, bath, whatever remodel they were doing. And that's the whole business model I had built. When the bottom fell out of that, I wanted to find something that I wasn't relying on banks and homeowners to actually pay their bills, and which ultimately led me into the insurance side of the business, where the insurance, it's a whole different animal. You're battling, you're waiting, you're sacrificing time, but you're always going to get paid. So that was kind of another reason what led me into the roofing and insurance side of the business.
For sure. So I want to go a little bit forward in my questions. And as you started to grow your company, when did you realize you needed titles? Some people are like, titles are overrated. You don't need a title. You just do the job. But I noticed that when you talk about people, you give people kudos on your pages. It's, vice president, it's CEO, it's,
Yeah.
the bookkeeper. People need titles.
So I still try to keep it. Yeah. It's like you get to a certain point in your business. And I had this conversation with a client today. It's like, as much as we don't want to own the titles or own the fact that we're a corporation, we want to be known as the small mom and pop business that just can be nimble and do things and kind of shoot from our hip. At some point, you grow to a point where you just have to accept that you have to have some sort of rigid corporate structure in order to take yourself to the next level. But part of it has to do with the mental transition of taking ownership of your role within a business. So I'm not a big fan of titles. Like I don't necessarily like that. I try to get creative with it, and almost I'll let like my team, as we're promoting and as we're building the business, if we're creating a new position, I don't just assign a rigid industry approved title. I kind of let them contribute a little bit to where it makes them feel good. Like we've never had a secretary. Right. It's admin, it's executive assistant, it's whatever makes you feel better about, give someone a title, but a title helps empower people to take ownership of their role and their responsibility. So, you get into the role of titles. I used to think I was right. And we start a business, we're the CEO, right? We're the boss, we're the CEO. No offense. 9 out of 10 roofing owners have no clue what a CEO even does.
Yep.
Truth. Sorry. I had to learn that through my coaches and my mentors, and we have a CFO now, and it's like I've had to learn all of that. And once I really understood that a CEO is not just a boss that runs around roofing and telling everybody what to do all the time, a CEO is somebody that takes ownership of their fiduciary responsibility to build a sustainable and profitable business. I realized that wasn't for me. I'm not a good CEO.
I'm right there with you. And I think a lot of guys in my position, they don't even understand what you just said there. Like they don't, they think, well, I'm the big kahuna. I'm the CEO.
I think they just blacked out for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's right.
What's a fiduciary? What does that even mean? Look it up or come to my mastermind. I'm going to explain it, but look it up, take ownership of what that really means, because you're building a business that takes care of other people outside of just you and your bank account and your boats, right? It's about other people, and it's about building an organization that could be sustainable for years and years to come. And in order to do that, you must run your business by the numbers.
Yep.
You just have to. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants and just look at the bank account every once in a while and ask yourself, do I have enough money to buy whatever I want to buy? Like that's not a way to run a business. And unfortunately, I did it, and a lot of us run our business that way. But the reality of it is you got to take ownership of the role of as a fiduciary responsible party to make sure that you are building a sustainable, profitable business. And you run your business by the numbers, all categories, track everything, manage everything. You have regular meetings and regular time to sit and look at reports and reporting and all these sort of things. So in analyzing all that, both my partner and I both realized that that's not really our strength. That's not really our role, is to sit in front of and collect data and run our business and manage and hire and develop these people. His role is he's really good at sales development, sales leadership. And my strength is in being the visionary, as well as like kind of an innovative marketer, kind of the visionary for the company. And we were
you're
blessed.
like the chief idea officer.
My title is Chief Strategy Officer, CSO,
okay.
Chief Idea Guy, or just Idea Guy. But if I have to write it on a legal document, it's going to say President, right? President of the company.
Yep.
But there's a difference. President/CEO, what it used to be. Yep. Now it's just President of the company, Chief Idea Guy. Yep. But when we promoted a CEO, and that just in doing that alone and having that title it didn't change a lot. But before she was the director of operations, and then promoting her to CEO. Like there's something that happens in somebody internally, mentally, when they kind of understand that title, they take ownership of that role. And she's got coaches and she's got mentors, and now we've been able to build and develop her into that role as CEO. It's taken a while, it's taken a transition, but at the end of the day, the foundation that we have is pretty sustainable and pretty substantial, to a point that we're now sharing that and helping a lot of other companies follow in those footsteps. And it's all, and it's weird how just a little bit of a title, a little bit of a of an assignment of a responsibility can change the way someone looks at their job, the way they act, how they take ownership of not only their role but of your business as well.
Yeah, I was reading a statistic a couple years ago about the high percentage of people that would rather take a promotion only in title and not in money. And a lot of people, that was more important to them, that their title, whether it's you're a director of something instead of, you've moved up in title, and because there's a status there. Some people want that status.
Yeah, executive office assistant sounds a lot better than secretary.
It does. So next question is, because I know you're big on educating, and that's almost like a dirty word to roofers. It's like, geez, I had my 12 years of school and I'm done. Really, it doesn't matter. You're continuously learning and educating yourself throughout life, whether it's on the bad stuff or the good stuff.
Yep.
And so I know you have the roofing academy there, and you're constantly putting out stuff out there for education purposes. How do you feel about sharing that knowledge when you know that your competition could be listening?
Here's the reality of it. You just said it. We don't like to be educated. We don't want to learn. We think we know it all. We learned from the school of hard knocks. We spent 20 years on a roof, so we know everything.
Yep.
Just because, and the harsh reality is it takes a certain type of person to be able to take ownership of the importance of learning and growing and educating yourself. You can consume a lot, but if you're not actually applying it and learning and taking it and putting it into action, you're just spending time consuming things. And unfortunately, a lot of people consume a lot, but they don't actually take action. The very small amount of people that take action are making a huge difference in our industry. It's Pareto's Law, 80-20. 20% of the entrepreneurs out there in any market are making 80% of the volume and activity and of the market. So my idea is to just do whatever I can to empower the ones that really do want to take it and learn, because the market is so big that we can educate a lot of people, but only 20% of them are going to actually take and put into action what we're telling them. So put it out there, as long as it's good quality, high integrity content. That's where I feel it's the cream is going to rise to the top. We're just leveling the playing field.
And I just did another video post on one of my personal pages earlier today on the same exact subject, about people that come to you and say, hey, I need some advice, Randy. I'm having a problem with this area. What should I do? And then you say, maybe you say you should do this, or you say, what do you really want? And then you make a recommendation, and then they say, oh, I can't do that. That wouldn't work for me, or whatever excuse. And then you're like, you just do it. Like if I'm telling you to send out this kind of marketing campaign, I know it's worked. I've done it. I've trained people and they've done it. Like, you have the data to prove why your advice works, but yet for whatever reason, people would rather complain that it won't work for them. Like, does that aggravate? I mean, it aggravates me sometimes, but I have to realize your 80-20 rule is true. It's like, only 20% of people are going to put that into action. Most of the other ones are just going to complain why it won't work for them.
Yeah, people are too busy making excuses to actually try something and learn something and see if it works or not.
Yep.
You just got to try it, and if it doesn't work, great. You learn something and you move on. Try something else.
Yep.
But if you're too busy making excuses or sitting back waiting for something to happen, or waiting for the absolute perfect opportunity to make a move, sorry, but there's a lot of other people out there that are just crushing, making mistakes. This guy, I just worked and tried things, and if it didn't work, I tried something else. And my education has cost me hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but to this day, at age 37, we're on a podcast sharing this knowledge and wealth and helping other people achieve greatness because of that non-excuse making mentality. It's take ownership, dive in, try something, and if it doesn't work, learn from it and move on. If it does work, double down. And then share it with other people. Ultimately, I think that's the key to success, is to get into a place where you can actually help others become successful. And that's what success really actually is. Yeah,
that's super gratifying. That's super fulfilling to help another guy out. and see that he comes back and say, hey, I tried that thing that you said and I had these amazing results. And you're like, that's awesome. Like, even if I didn't get compensated monetarily, maybe they avoided something that I had to go through, a pain or a failure that I had to go through, and they could avoid that. Super fulfilling.
A mentor of mine that, because obviously I'm in the coaching space now, right? So I'm a coach for people and businesses and and owners, and a mentor of mine who is coaches, and I work with him, and he helps me as well, because I'm all about learning. I spend 10 times the amount on coaching that I charge other people, right? So it's like you're like compounding that, but I'm all about learning and surrounding myself with the right people. And he really helped me out, because you don't always get that feedback. You don't know all the time what, if you're putting out videos, I'm putting out content, like you don't always see the results. You don't know how that's affecting people. But he put it in my mind of something that you say or something that you share with somebody that they learn, and they take that, they apply it to their business. Fast forward 30 years, now that business has grown. Now their kids have had kids, and now that kid that was a little kid now is taking over the business, is learning that same thing that you planted in someone's head today.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Powerful, man.
It is powerful.
So it's just the power of one. You don't know.
Yep.
You just put it out there and try to do a good work and be a good person, and put good quality advice out there. And you never know that somebody may take that and it can completely change the whole trajectory of their entire like family history. Like, you never know, but that's the power of helping others succeed and sharing it and helping others. And I love that. And it's amazing, like the helping, like, on a daily basis, right? I'll get somebody, I'm sure you get this too, like they'll just like something you said or somebody, or working with clients or whatever, and they just say, they let me know, man, I watched this, or you told me this and I did this and this is what happened. And they're so excited, and they're so like fulfilled, and they're eager to take the next step. Like, that is more rewarding than any amount of dollar you could ever make in any sort of business.
Yep.
It's amazing when, like, on a daily basis, people are like, dude, thank you for this, thank you for that. Like, you gave me this advice, or I watched this on one of your courses, and it's helped me do this, or I read the book and it helped me do this. Like, that sort of stuff is just worth its weight in gold, man. That's what I live for, and I absolutely love it.
For sure. Another question is, I know you're kind of hands off in your company, so I remember talking at the IRE, and I was asking you some questions. And you're like, I don't really know how that works. They handle that. And I'm like, man, that makes me feel good about that. So obviously, in order to do that, you have to have processes. And I know that word kind of scares some people, because they're like, I don't even know how to like put a process into place. But, whether you like it or not, or you don't have it written down on paper, you already have processes. They might be very primitive. You probably just call them habits, but processes are, if you want to grow and actually get hands off and delegate to people, you got to have processes. So the question I wanted to ask you is, how do you yourself create and implement a new process that maybe you're going to start next Monday? Tell me how you come up with the idea, you present it to your team, and then implement it.
It's as simple as, one, taking an idea in your head and putting it on paper. Okay. A process is merely, if you think about it in its most primitive form, is a checklist. Complete this step in order to complete this step, in order to complete this step, in order to complete this step. You can take that from a spreadsheet or a Word doc or a scratch paper and put that into your CRM system. And then whoever it pertains to within your business, don't just throw it at them, say, hey, here's a new process. Do a training. You take ownership, you own your process first, and make sure it works, it's dialed in, test it, and then take that person that it's going to pertain to and educate them on it. Even better, have them contribute to creating the process.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Own it. Yeah.
And then they own it, right? So our staff is we're always letting people, hey, you have an idea to do something better? Great, let's talk about it. Let's work on implementing that. So you have somebody in your organization, whether you got to have the manager, you got to have somebody that's kind of an operational mindset, somebody that's good with systems and processes in your organization. I talk about the 5 pillars, which is kind of like the whole theme of what we do. And one of those pillars is operations management. You got to have somebody that is good with process. You don't have to have everybody, but somebody that can kind of take an idea and create a duplicatable and repeatable process that can then be trained to not only your existing staff, but set in stone for new staff to be trained on as you hire and grow. So we get overwhelmed, I think, with this idea of process, but really it's just a systematic way of doing something. Write it down. If you have a CRM system, implement it into the CRM system, and put some digital keys behind it where you have to complete this in order to complete this, in order to complete this. And if you do that over and over and over again, you can scale that specific part of the business and apply that across your whole platform, across your whole business. All of a sudden, you've built a scalable business model.
We want to thank Top Roof Contractors again for their continuing sponsorship of the Rocket Roof Show. Membership in this organization includes reduced rates for commercial roofing leads, third-party verification to add credibility to your company, and a host of valuable benefits upon acceptance into the network. Learn more about them at toproofcontractors.com.
For me personally, I'm a whiteboard mind map type of guy. Like, I love whiteboards, and I got a big whiteboard in my office, and I got something I'm working on, I'll bring my team in or whatever, and we'll just start illustrating it on a whiteboard. Does this work? Does this fit here? Oh, no, that doesn't work. And try to find things that are wrong with it. Illustrate it out. Draw it all out on a whiteboard. Visualize what you're trying to accomplish. And you can also do that digitally via mind mapping. There's different software, and Google has different things, like bubble charts and stuff like that, where it's like, this process leads to this process, leads to this process, and then they split, and then you got two processes, and you just gotta illustrate it in order to to get yourself in a situation where you can actually put it on paper and share it with other people as well.
I'm glad you brought up the whiteboard, because when I first bought this facility where I'm at, I didn't really have offices, so I didn't really know how all that worked. But I remember one room was like, man, it's kind of blank here. And I remember being in ABC Supply, and they had a whiteboard there, and I thought, man, it'd be nice to have one of those in my shop. So I found one cheap, and I got it there. I didn't really think anything of it, but we use that thing more for communicating and explaining stuff. We just leave a boatload of markers there, and we're constantly putting stuff on that thing. So it's just one of those simple little things that you can get if you're just a little small potatoes guy with a couple guys. Get a dry erase board. They're not expensive, and you can use that to communicate your ideas, especially if you're a visual learner, visual explainer like me. I'm always talking with my hands. When people ask me a question, the first thing I do is pick up a pen I got to write while I'm talking.
Yep.
But I wanted to expound on what you just said a minute ago with the CRM. I think a lot of people are like, well, I kind of need a CRM, but I don't know which one to get. And, there's Job Nimbus, and there's AccuLinks, and there's I know you do Job Nimbus, and we tried that, and we use AccuLinks now, but don't get hung up on which one's the best one. I think if you don't have one, anything's better than not having one. And then you can kind of play with it and say, well, this one doesn't work for me. Some are tailored to different styles of business, and whether you're retail or you're restoration or whatever. But wouldn't you agree that just try one and at least get familiar with using a computer program?
It's this day and age, it's a must do. I'm sorry, but it is a must have. You are not going to scale a business without technology and without having some way it's customer relationship management. CRM stands for, right?
Yep.
You got to be able to manage and take that customer experience through a process and do that effectively and efficiently over and over and over again. Best way to do that is to have some sort of digital partner, software to do that. You can run an entire business from Google Drive. Okay. Or Excel spreadsheets if you really wanted to. Regardless, you got to get rid of those old files. The files that move from here to here to here, that doesn't work anymore. Okay. You're way behind the times if you're doing that still. We have people to help with that. If you do that, we have a whole team of people that go in and help systemize and go paperless and take companies to the 21st century. But the difference, it's not a matter of what's the best and what's not. It's what's best for you. Okay.
Yep.
Every company has its own DNA, its own way of doing things, and ownerships have their own mindset, right? Me personally, I like the challenge and the ability to kind of create something on my own and have it be customizable, because I feel like I'm always making tweaks and changing my business model. So the big difference between the two big elephants, right? I've used both of them. Yep. We did the opposite. We switched from AccuLinks to Job Nimbus. Not to say anything negative about either. They're both great systems. You can build. I mean, I have clients that do $10 million a year on AccuLinks. I have clients who do $10 million a year on Job. We do a huge amount of volume on Job Nimbus. It's the matter of how you want to build your business model, right? And I think the key is AccuLinks is more plug and play, more of a, here's a system, you can tailor your business model to fit within that system. That's the best way to explain AccuLinks.
Yep.
With Job Nimbus, it's customizable. So the learning curve is a little bit more, and you kind of get out of it what you put into it. So you have to actually embrace the idea of customizing it to make it fit your business model. And in my mind, I wanted that flexibility because we're not just a retail roofer or an insurance roofer. Like, we have 6 different departments, 6 different processes, 6 different workflows within our business. And I wanted a CRM system that can operate essentially 6 different roofing companies in one. AccuLinks just didn't provide me that opportunity. So that's why I chose Job Nimbus. Simple as that. They're both great programs. They're both great people behind the programs. I've met them all. I know them all. And we've built great relationships. I just happen to go one way, and to each their own. It's just a matter of what business model you want to ultimately have.
And just to give full disclosure, there's several dozen of them out there. The ones you're talking about, they're more for high volume, I think. But some people that are doing commercial roofing, which is this kind of podcast is more centered on commercial roofing, might do lower data forma and FCS, and they all have their, like you said, unique DNA depending on what you want to do with it. So I just say do your research, and then even talk to other contractors that have used it and find out the pros and cons, and really just start getting into technology.
Here's the reality of it is, every contractor that I've talked to that has either had been frustrated or didn't like or whatever with any sort of CRM system, the underlying or implement it fully. You get a CRM system and just use it to track customers. You're doing it as a service. So the reality is there's no easy button. You can't just pay a bunch of money for a software and all of a sudden, poof, your business runs like a top. You have to actually do the work. You've got to put the time and energy into learn the program, learn your business model, take ownership of that model, and be willing to make adjustments to make that model work better.
For me,
that's part of
that's part of the reason why I failed with Job Nimbus, was because for me, it was like, I was just going to put this in here. It's going to help solve our problems. But I had to give my team permission to hold my feet to the fire. So like, since you're the boss or I'm the boss, it's like, I dropped the ball. I didn't put a piece of information in there. And they're like, well, we'll just do it for them. We'll just, or they don't see it because you didn't put that information in there. And then the customer doesn't get taken care of the right way. They slip through the cracks, or you call them and they were already called or whatever, because Andy didn't follow it. And so when we went with AccuLinks, we had to start right off fresh. And I had to tell my team, like, if I don't do something right, if you go to process the job and all the information in there is not in there, kick it back to me. Don't just say, well, okay, these 2 things are missing. Well, don't do it next time, but we'll push it through, because you've got to hold my feet to the fire and say, no, it doesn't pass the scrutiny, kick it back. And then that made me learn. Yeah,
let's touch on that for a minute.
Okay.
Because we talk about this a lot, and this is probably the biggest thing that we work on with contractors and it's also, in my mind, the most important process. It's called the perfect handoff. Taking all the information necessary from the front end, the sales, everything you need to hand that job off to production, to where production can take it and execute and fulfill that job without having to go back and look for information. That is the single biggest challenge and flaw in every roofing contractor out there. Most of them. If we can master that one thing, the dominoes fall to where everything else can be built around that single process. That process, just like me too. I'm not even involved in that process at all, because I'm like you. I will drop the ball. Guilty as charged. I will forget information. I'll try to take I'll try to slide through and take the path of least resistance, be like, just do it for me. Just do the job submission for me. Blah, blah, blah. I got other things to do. We're owners. But the reality it is most salespeople are wired that way as well. And then we as owners and as production managers think that, oh my gosh, we're just going to piss off our salesperson if we hold their feet to the fire and we implement this system and we don't hold them to it. They're going to quit. They're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere where it's easier. But what they don't realize is having that system really dialed in allows them to do their job better and make more sales and make more money. So you got to get over the fear of making that transition. And unfortunately, sometimes you got to pull the weeds in the garden. It is what it is. But that single system of the perfect handoff, handing a job off from sales to production can change your business forever.
Yeah, for sure. So dialing in here, getting around to the last question is, economy's rocking and rolling right now. So pretty much if you can swing a hammer, you're working. And so with that opportunity, I'd like you to share, what is the opportunity for a new guy starting a new company or a small company to grow and to scale? What's that opportunity look like right now for roofing in the United States?
Well, as much as I don't want to admit it, right now is the best time has ever been to start a company. Mm-hmm. It is like the economy, the way the technology is, the education. I mean, I'm not even touting my own program. There's other stuff out there, but literally you can start a business today and spend the next month consuming content that took some of us 15 years to learn. Exactly. And you within a couple months. Yep. Learn the basics of foundational things you need to build a business. Yep. With the age of technology and how easy it is to market, to build websites, to hire, train, develop people, to knock on doors, like it's the barrier to entry is pretty low, right? Now is the best time to do it. And if you're gonna do it, regardless of who you work with, Andy does a lot of consulting, a lot of help with people as well. Like whoever you work with, whatever you're gonna do, humble yourself, okay? Yep. And realize that you don't know what you don't know. And that's okay. That's an okay place to be. But right now, there's no better time to be in any sort of business than the age of technology and the age of information. We're right in the middle of the information age. There's way more information at your fingertips right now than there ever has been in the history of all of us trying to come up and build businesses before Amazon, right? Yep. Before Google and Amazon, we didn't have just books you can read, and $25 you can get a book that literally tells you how to build a $10 million company. Yep. So, and then apply, right? Then you just got to go out and grind and apply and make things happen. So it's great. However, let me throw a caveat on that. If you're going to do it, I really, really, really challenge / advise anyone out there listening to this, do a very, very deep dive as to why you want to do it. Why are you starting a business? Okay, are you starting a business because you don't like your boss? Are you starting a business because you want more money? Or are you starting a business because you feel that you can build something that's sustainable for generations, for your family, for other people, to create opportunities to help other people succeed? Then you might want to think about it, because the reality of it is, if you're just looking for a better opportunity and more money, don't waste your time starting a business. It's not what you think it is. Sorry, but that's the truth, right? You know this, Andy, just like I do. Go work for somebody. Go jump on a moving train. If you just want more opportunity, more freedom, and more money, find the best company in town and go work for them.
But the answer could be they want more money. But then if you dive a little deeper, like, what do you want the money for? Mm-hmm. I mean, is it going? Then you start dialing in on that. Like, well, I want more money because I want a nicer car. Well, why do you want a nicer car? Well, if you start really asking and piercing questions, most people will boil it down to they want more freedom. You can really buy with money, but that's usually what the things they boil down to. They want more freedom and they want more time. And when those are different answers than just money and material possessions, and the deep dive on why. But for me, it was pure survival. When I started, it was like, I have the skill and I'm making more money on the weekends than I am working for my boss during the week. And so
I didn't have any other choice. I had bills to pay.
Yeah.
I had bills to pay. I was in debt. I was going through bankruptcy. Like, I had no other choice. I had to find something now to figure it out, and I just dove in, and it was a long road. And I love that, because that's all what I'm about is, like, you want time, you want freedom, but what do you want that time and freedom for?
Yep.
Because you can
Exactly.
get pretty damn bored. Trust me, ask my old man. He gets bored. He plays golf 300 days a year. He
Yep.
gets bored. Like, he's going back and he does work because he wants to get that fulfillment of working, right? So,
Yep.
it's, again, a deep dive as to your why. Figure out your internal why before you make this big move to move companies, to start a company, whatever you're going to do. Really deep down and figure out your why. And the reality of it is, if it really is more time and freedom, understand what it's going to take to achieve that. You
Yep.
can't just start a business, plug and play, and then all of a sudden have more time and freedom. Because the reality of it is, in order to build a business that works for you, you have to put in twice the amount of time and energy in order to do that.
Yep.
I've been doing this for, I don't know how long you've been. I was doing it for it's 2000 is when I first got in. So 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been all in, working full time in construction and or business ownership at some capacity, to finally get to a place where I work from home. I go to the office once a week. I have a whole management team, a whole staff in place. But I worked 80 hours to avoid working 40 for a decade to get to that place. So you got to understand. And here's the thing, just because I still work just as hard, because I love the business. I love the journey working. Now it's just different because I work more on the consulting side and not the roofing side. You build the company to run itself, and you put really great people and systems in place, and then you keep your finger on that all the time. I'm very, very meticulous in meetings, reporting. I know what's going on in my business at all times, but I have the time and freedom to not go play golf, to allocate my experience and my passions of business building to help others build their business.
Yep.
So I'm still working just as hard, but it's twice as rewarding.
Yep.
So think about the reason why you want to do this, and then you do go all in.
We don't have a ton of time here, but I kind of want to expand on what you said there, because a lot of guys, they start their own business, and if they started, thinking, okay, I gotta wear a pouch, I'm gonna wear this hammer, and they go at it and they work, like you said, 80 hours a week, but they never, sometimes they don't explore they have another talent besides swinging a hammer. And I think some owners are like, well, the guys won't respect me if I take my tool belt off and I go in the office, or if I take my tool belt off and go into sales, my guys won't respect me. I gotta be, sometimes I even hear people say, it isn't beneath me to empty the trash can or to clean up the ground. And I understand that that's a noble fact, but you can't grow your company if you're the one that's constantly doing the small task. If the $100 guy is doing the $1 job all the time, it doesn't work that way. And I think sometimes roofers, their ego gets in the way, and they're like, well, my crew is not going to respect me. When I got off the roof, I actually got permission from my guys. Hey, this is what I got to do. I'm gonna grow my business. I'm gonna go and start doing more sales and working on my business. And I was relieved when they're like, do it, man, go. And I was like, what? Like, I thought they were gonna be like not receiving of it. But I don't know what you got to do. But sometimes we have a more talent or more potential in us than just swinging that hammer. And we've got to realize when we have that.
Two things. John Maxwell says it best, that leaders are not born.
Right.
Leaders are made.
Exactly.
Leaders are created. You're not just born a leader. That's bull crap, right?
Yep.
Get that out of your head. You're not just born a leader. Sure, some people have different skill sets that are natural, but leaders are made. Leaders are created. You can become a leader. And if you want to build a business, that's your goal. Isn't to be the fastest nailer, the fastest garbage picker upper, the most efficient keyboard typer. It's to be the best leader of people. The second part to that is, contrary to popular belief, and that's why it's hard to get off that roof, people actually want to be led. They need to be led. It's human nature to want to be a part of something, to want to be directed, and to want to be led. Take ownership of that.
Yep.
Take ownership of your role as a leader of your organization, and push forward and be vulnerable, be straightforward, and people will follow. They'll run through bricks for you if you're just a real person that's just learning and growing as a leader. You'll do amazing things.
Exactly. I'm going to end it on that. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What's your favorite sports team?
Green Bay Packers. Number 2.
What's your go-to footwear every day?
Jordans, man, right here. What I got right here? I'm a Jordan guy, man. Trying to be the Michael Jordan of roofing, right? Just, he just said, I've just been a big fan ever since I was a little kid, partially because I couldn't afford them. So
Right.
I always wanted Jordans. I never could have them. And then now that I'm an adult, I have a whole closet full of them. But
Awesome.
it's just one of those things that it's just constant motivation of what it takes to be the best if you're wearing those Jordans on your feet every day,
Right. Good. That's personal for you, and I love it. That's that's what keeps you inspired.
There's a reason behind everything I do, my friend.
Right. One thing that you're afraid of.
Failure. Heights.
Okay.
Heights. I'm a
good.
roofer, man. Okay. Everyone's afraid of failure. We're all afraid of failure.
Yeah.
Embrace that. Use it as motivation. Yeah. But let me answer that really, though. I'm afraid of heights, man. I don't like heights.
Well, they got drones now, buddy. So
I know. I spent a lot of time climbing on big, steep roofs. When I was an insurance adjuster, I was on a steep and tall team, harnessed up to another guy, rappelling off those steep roofs with no granules and 12-12s. And you know what, man? I try to, guilty as charged at this day and age, I try to stay away from the roofs.
What's the largest or most epic roof that you've ever installed yourself? Or the coolest roof you ever installed yourself?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I've been up on a ton of them and I help clean up and do my thing. But when it comes to roofing, the only ones I've done is just kind of basic, just basic roofs. Right now we're doing a 300 square castle in Denver. That's just an epic. It's a bar tile job. That's just epically cool.
I think I've seen some pictures on that. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's probably one of the coolest jobs we've ever done. It took us 2 years to land it, and they put us through the ringer. But it's a really cool job. We'll have videos and drones and submitting it for a bunch of some awards and stuff like that. So
cool, awesome,
cool.
Got to ask this one: Tesla truck, yes or no?
Here's the deal. I'm not going away from my Denali's. Okay, I'm a Denali guy. Love my GMC. I love my Duramax, and you're never going to get me away from that. However, I do want to get one of those Teslas just so I can put a wrap on it and have it around town, just because the attention it's going to I'm a marketing guy.
Yep, you're not the
but
first one to
say
say that.
Ugly. It's pretty damn ugly. I can't.
Yep.
I can't attest to that. It's an ugly truck.
Well, Randy, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I know you had me on your show a couple times back in the day, or early on, and I love the synergy between us, and I think we have a lot of things in common. But I think one thing we have in common is we want to see the young guy or the new guy do well. And roofing is a great space to do it in. So love to have you on, and look to see more things that you're going to do in 2020 with your podcast and your book and Academy. So looking forward to that. So thank you for coming on.
Hey, man, I'm grateful to be here and humbled to be on your short list of getting this thing going. Congrats, and anything I can do to support you, I'm with you, man. You're an awesome follow, and you're a great asset for our industry. So keep doing what you're doing, my friend.
Awesome. Hey, catch you later.
You've been listening to the Rocket Roof Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe through your favorite podcasting platforms such as iTunes or Google Play to get the latest episodes as they are launched. For more, please follow us on social media or visit our website at rocketroofshow.com. We look forward to joining you here again soon at the next launch.